Did you go to Stan Lee's funeral?
I did not go to Stan Lee's funeral.
Did you think
sadly.
about it? Or, I don't know if you guys were even close or anything.
We were
I just
very
know
close. I went to Stan Lee's final birthday party, which was in December, the few months before he passed away. Or right before, or he was 95 and he almost made it to 96. So it was his 95th birthday party. I still have pictures on my phone. When they buried him, I didn't get invited, and I'm not saying like, oh, fuck them, they didn't invite me, but there was no like, hey, you could come or anything. But we were fucking close, man. Like in the last year of his life, nobody was close to him because of the situation. People kept him away from people. He was there was an elder abuse situation going on. Yeah, that party right there. It was December 28th, 2017. Happy birthday. And then he died a few months after that. So, but the last year of his life, it was tough to be around him. And I don't mean tough to be around him because like, what an asshole. I mean, you couldn't get near him. The people who were kind of in charge of him kept everyone away. I couldn't text him anymore, even call him and shit like that. So I didn't have access toward the end. It was a sad ending for Stan. But I realized like toward the end, we did a commercial, an Audi commercial when Age of Ultron was coming out. And the premise of the commercial was like the Stan Lee school of cameo acting. So he would put on like Thor's helmet and be like, this is acting. And then he put on like a random general helmet. He's like, this is cameo acting, because Stan did a lot of cameos and shit. So the whole spot is that, and then he gets in an Audi and drives away. And it's a class. I'm in the class. Jason Mewes is in the class. Michael Rooker's in the class.
I might have seen it.
Yeah, it ran like years and years ago. So we shoot this spot, and I was hanging out with Stan all day. And then we're doing the last shot where car goes past Lou Ferrigno hitchhiking, like at the end of The Incredible Hulk. When
I saw him at the post office once.
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Nice. Very nice to me. So Stan's like body man, his business guy, financial guy, came to set to like watch the end of the show, and he was hanging out by monitor, and we were chit-chatting, and he was like, oh, I love this stuff. I love production. He's going, Stan's so happy. He always has a good time hanging out with you. And I was like, oh, I always like being around Stan too. It just seemed like a nice thing to say. And then the guy like fucking lethal as a heart attack. He goes, he thinks of you like a son. And I was like, what? Like, really? And then it occurred to me that like, I always thought he was just being nice to me because we put him in Mallrats. Like he was just being Stan, political. Which is like, hey, everybody. Everybody's fucking grandpa and shit. But he legit actually liked me as a person. And
when I see that picture, actually, I thought of that for a second, kind of.
He taught me a lot.
He taught me a bit of a father-son vibe, kind of.
He taught me how to be me for a living. He didn't sit me down and be like, this is how you be. But this is a dude who like, it was one thing to be creative, right? Like he co-created most of the Marvel universe. And yes, of course he worked with great artists like Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby and whatnot. But like the imagination that went into it, this was a man who wanted to write the great American novel. Like I remember talking to him, interviewing him at one point. He was like, well, I really wanted to write the great American novel. And I was like, Stan, you did. Like you just didn't do it as a book. You did it with the Marvel universe. It's our modern fucking mythology. But he wasn't aiming for that.
That's so true.
It's just something he did for money and backed into. And then later on, the culture shifted like into his favor because people like comics. But he was like fucking banging the cymbals for comics since I was a kid. I remember my father like calling me out one morning. I was getting ready for school. He goes, get inside. Spider-Man's dad is on TV. And it was on Good Morning America talking to like one of the earliest hosts of before even Joan London on Good Morning America about comic books. And here was a grown-ass adult man on television talking about something I was passionate about, something that I knew very well and loved. So I respected the dude right away. I knew his voice even before I saw him and even before I heard his voice in like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in every episode because he would write that Stan's soapbox. And in it, he was a salesman. He was an artist, don't get me wrong, and he co-created all those characters. But that don't mean shit. You could make 1 million books and characters and shit. If you don't know how to sell yourself or you sell your work, nobody going to hear about it. And that guy, a lot of people are like, he took all the credit himself. I'm not here to address that. All I know is he pushed the medium of comics so far. He was out there in the mainstream. He would go to colleges before anyone respected comic books. When colleges were like, these books, 10, 20 years after Stan wrote these stories, he would be invited to come proselytize, talk about the art form, the emerging art form. And one of the only true American art forms is the fucking comic book, the superhero comic book. So this was a man who was like out there doing the work, like building the fucking rails upon which billion-dollar fucking
Films are made
steamships
now.
move now.
I mean, Deadpool doesn't happen if that doesn't happen.
Exactly. And he didn't create Deadpool, nor did he create Wolverine. But he
still.
created the playground in which those two characters were created by other creators in the Marvel universe, comics and stuff. So I miss him, man. I learned a lot from him. It's like you can't expect other people to love your shit unless you love it first. You gotta love it the best. That's what I was saying like a long time ago. You're the only audience you can guarantee to satisfy. So if you keep your budget low, real low, and it don't matter, go for it and stuff. But just don't expect the whole world's gonna come. Modify your expectations, like my wife.